All perfect. You didn't tell me that I didn't have lipstick. How could you not tell your sister she doesn't have lipstick? What kind of brother are you? Okay, there you go.
You never have lipstick otherwise.
I know I'm not the kind of woman who wears makeup, but for videos, you know, you've got to have a little bit of makeup.
Absolutely.
I look pale because there was so many lights. Okay, so let's do this. Hey everybody, my name is Tammy and I am the Chief Visionary Officer of Future Gen Leaders. And today I have one of my most amazing friends. I know I have a lot of amazing friends, but this one is just my brother. He is my Polish-Swiss brother. He changed from Swiss to Polish. And he is the CEO of Leaders Bridge, and he's doing amazing work in this world. And I've had time and the opportunity to work with him, and I've grown a lot as a human being, and we've both grown together because we've just played together and held each other accountable. So thank you so much for being here. Love you.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your journey, and then share more so about your spiritual growth, because you and I know that business is not really business as we think it is.
So when did we start? About 9 months ago, 6 months ago, or something like that? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, back then it was, I think one of the main things that happened or that was in place back then was I attached my self-worth to the amount of money I made, to my role in a company, and to my status. Now, that sometimes worked out well. Sometimes it totally didn't work out well, because if you're an entrepreneur, usually you don't have a very stable income, so you don't have a very stable self-worth as well. If you do that. So that was kind of like my situation. And what happened was when I got out of corporate, because I attached my self-worth to my role in the company, because before I was a manager, I was leading teams, I was responsible for millions and millions and millions in revenue. And then I started my own company. I'm basically responsible for 0 people at the beginning, for 0 revenue. So obviously my self-worth was attached to that. And, it was basically the same number, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I think one of the key things is you took me from that journey, you guided me from that journey to the next level. Now, I don't think there's any destination in terms of I think self-worth destination is really attaching it to nothing. I'm definitely not there yet. I attach it to something else now that is a bit less volatile. So I attach my self-worth no longer to just, the money I make or the stuff. It feels good when I make a lot of money, but it's not, I don't think I'm a bad person because I'm not making a lot of money or something like that. I attach my self-worth to my passion, to my purpose, and the people that I spend time with. But then I realized it because within 2 months, stuff started to come true that I tried to rationally accomplish for years, for many years, and it never worked. And I was always chasing after it, and that's one of the reasons why it didn't work. And once I started to just embody it, like set it, embody it, and then let go of controlling exactly how it's going to come into place, that's when it really started to just work and show up. I mean, there's countless examples now that I can use over the past 2 months, because pretty much all the stuff that I wrote down and set and then stopped controlling the outcome of is here now. It's actually in this world that we can see out there now.
You know, I like to cry when I talk to you. I just cry because I mean, when we met last year January, you said I couldn't even say the word God, and I looked at you and I said, okay, so you know how to breathe yourself, you know how to digest your own food. Good luck for you. Go and suffer. And every time you send me a message and you're like, Tammy, I cannot believe that this is happening in my life. I'm like, you can't script this stuff out. God is in control. I'm sorry, you are not in control. You can't even breathe yourself. Like, who do you think you are? And most of the time, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud. Thank you.
That's another thing. That's another thing. For a long time, because we all grew up in a certain way. So for me, I grew up in I think I never went to church, maybe twice in my life. I had an aversion to church because I have an aversion to everything that tries to put me into some sort of a square or something like that, or tries to make me believe something. So I have an aversion to all of this. And God for me was always this man in the sky, right? That you beg to do something for you, but you never know if it's actually going to happen because depending on his mood, right? Or if he had a good night of sleep or something, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Usually it doesn't because, I don't know, maybe he's always in a bad mood or something like that. And I mean, that was my picture, right? So obviously I couldn't say it, right? Because I was like, that's stupid. Like, I mean, what the fuck, right? What the fuck? I mean, 10 years ago, I wrote a letter to the church and I said, sign me off. I don't want to pay any taxes anymore to you guys because like, what the fuck?
Right.
So yeah, it makes sense. I mean, to me, when I look back that I went through a huge transformation in terms of looking at the world and looking at spirituality from an entirely different perspective, because I mean, I had a very, very different viewpoint from growing up and from experiencing all of that. So like with meditation, I'm a bit of a weirdo when it comes to pretty much everything because I'm insanely picky. So 99.9% of all the stuff doesn't work for me because if it's not 100% natural and authentic for me, I throw it away because I don't see any point. So I usually have to go through a lot of trial until I find the way that is most natural. Well, in terms of the business stuff, I mean, where do I even start?
Hold on. You remember last year we had a chat and you said, this strange woman from Australia sent me a pack of angel cards. What do I do with these stuff? I guess I'll just use it. And I was like, oh, I'll teach you what to do. No, I think what you were intrigued about was that she had sent you this card and she told you that she had worked with the guy and the guy made more money than he had ever made in his life or something like that. And I was like, oh, sweetheart, that's where you want to go? Let's do this.
Yeah, that was so intriguing. Like when I talked to this woman and she's like, yeah, I just worked with this guy for like 9 months and he used to make like, I don't know, $500,000 a year in income. Now he's making 5 million in income. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, we just did the spiritual stuff and healing. And I was like, what? What? Are you crazy? No, I mean, you do business coaching, right? It's like, no, just, okay. So, yeah, so I mean, where do I start? So I used to run a consulting company, which it was okay, was paying the bills, but it was not my natural, it was not my passion, my biggest passion, my biggest talent. It's the stuff that I'm good at, but it's not my most natural thing. I'm a natural connector. So there's kind of like 3 pieces, if you have to use words, that make me up, which is I lead, connect, and I create. So if you have to use 3 words, that's basically what it is. That's the way I walk through life. That's the way I do business. That's the way I pretty much do everything. That's the way I'm a father, because what I realized that at one point I realized I built a community of buyers that trusted me for millions and millions and millions in budgets.
Right.
At one point I realized that. So I said, okay, maybe now there's a business model there. And then literally 2 weeks ago, I signed one of the biggest contract of my entire business and career. And then the week after that, I signed the most profitable contract of my entire life and career. So it just keeps getting better.
Hold on. Oh, you just signed the biggest contract and the most profitable contract of your career. Do you know how many people go through life and they've never experienced that?
Yeah.
Gratitude.
And that's also something that changed, because I used to be like, sign the contract or like, oh my God, this is great. Let's celebrate. This is awesome. And what happened was it was like the only joy was signing it and just getting it into the trophy collection, right? Now it's different because you probably heard it from my messages. I'm not like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Now it's like, this is amazing. This is totally incredible. And because now, here's the thing, because now, because of that contract, I get to do the work that I meant to do. Because now it's different. Now there is a state of gratitude versus just a state of pride, I guess. Now a state of gratitude is different because in gratitude, it's just I'm just grateful that I get to do the work that I get to do now, and that is very, very different for me. And yeah,
You get paid to be you. You no longer pretend as if you're somebody else. And the more you are, I think this is what you even spoke to me about, because you were like, Tammy, stop doing things that, like, why, right? Because when you show up in the world inauthentic, you're going to meet inauthentic people and they're going to harass you. But when you show up in the world as authentic, say, this is who I am. If you don't like it, you can go away. You find that there's people that just come into your space and they're willing to pay you whatever you ask because they know the truth of your being. It's powerful stuff, this spiritual work. I don't know why people don't do it. It's so powerful because you just release all these things that, are not just for you.
absolutely.
I am proud. You're a good dad. I love the fact that you're a good dad.
But you're also sort of like curious and excited about what's tomorrow, and you and with the knowing and understanding that there's only greatness. It doesn't matter. Yes, there's shitty experiences that we think we have, that we perceive as shitty, but at the end of the day, there's nothing but greatness. We can argue about if somebody passes away, if that's greatness or not. Yes, we can argue about that. But at the end of the day, it matters nothing. The only thing that matters is how you look at the world. What is the lens that you look at the world through? And I just believe that everything is just greatness, nothing else. Yeah. And you can call it love and energy, whatever. I just call it greatness.
Just call it greatness. Call it whatever makes you feel happy. And through the journey that we've had, I have healed my relationship with my dad, which was a very strained relationship, and it was very unhappy. Now I have such an amazing relationship with my dad, and you have an amazing relationship with your dad. You had an amazing experience with your grandfather that you hadn't seen for years, and I was like, no, you better go and see your grandfather. And you did. And what happened? Like when you brought your son, 4 generations of men loving each other. That is my prayer for humanity, for all of us. Love each other.
Let me just 3 minutes elaborate on that, because I think it's such a powerful experience. So basically my granddad the dad from my dad's dad, I never had a good relationship with him ever. And neither did my father. And at one point he had to go to this elderly home because he couldn't take care of himself and everything. And my dad got 2 sisters. They didn't give a shit about any of their family. So my dad was the only one really taking care. And something changed in my granddad that when I visited him, because I didn't want to visit him, I'm like, we got to go there? Okay, we got to go there. So we went there, And I met this person for the first time in my life. And what happened was, yeah, that generational thing. My grandfather met my son, which is basically 4 generations, right? And then we took those beautiful pictures. And like usually when my son sees somebody new, he cries because he doesn't like new people. At least not right now. When he saw him, you could do nothing but smile. I mean, out of nothingness, just smile out of nothingness. And that was when he was 2.5 months old. And it was such an incredible experience. And my grandfather would just, like touch him and want to take him. And my granddad was 88 or 89 years old. And then we went back to Poland. We traveled here. And then about a month later, he had a stroke. He had to be in a wheelchair. And then a couple of weeks later, he passed away. When I got the message from my parents, it was such a weird feeling, because for my entire life, I didn't want to know this person. So I had no emotional connection at all. There's nothing there. And then for a couple of months, I really liked this guy more than anybody else in my family except for my parents and my sister. And it was just so weird. And when the message came that he passed away, there was no sadness, because what I realized is that with connecting with my son, there was something magical that happened there. I mean, I could see it in his eyes, both in the eyes of both of them. And it was for him, I think it was almost like an experience of saying, if that's the only thing that I did in my life, then this life really mattered. And I think it's because my grandfather never connected with his son, which is my father, right? So being able to connect with his grandson, yeah. So for me, that was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
You can't, what is our favorite saying? You can't script the shit out. When you are aligned with your truth and the truth of nature, because truly, 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 when you are aligned with truth, but the truth of your being, magic happens and you can't script the shit out. That's my favorite saying. I'm like, okay, God, surprise me more.
kidding.